The federal government has proposed eliminating funds for suicide prevention services tailored to LGBTQ plus youth. Now there's growing concern about what will happen to crisis hotlines that provide inclusive support and save lives. Joining us now is Jaymes Black, the CEO of the Trevor Project. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So in case people don't know, the Trevor Project is the leading suicide prevention and crisis intervention for LGBTQ plus young people. Can you talk about the work your nonprofit does so people have a better understanding?
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. We are the leading suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ plus young people. Our crisis services are available 24/7 via text, call, and chat. We were founded in California 27 years ago. And we play a unique role. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, and we are laser focused on ending suicide. And so we provide direct services for young people in crisis. And we also lead suicide prevention efforts to prevent young people from entering mental health crises to begin with. And we have highly trained counselors for that unique best practices care that LGBTQ plus youth need because they are a high risk population.
Can you talk about why it's a high-risk population?
Absolutely. Let's talk about that suicide among LGBTQ plus young people is an urgent public health crisis. And what people may not know is that LGBTQ plus youth are not inherently prone to higher suicide risk than their peers. Rather, they are placed at higher risk because of how they are stigmatized and mistreated by other people. So this higher risk population is really around how society has treated these youth and the messages that they are being fed and told day in and day out.
And has the rhetoric just increased that? I mean, are you seeing an increase in calls right now?
Absolutely. The rhetoric is compounding the problem. And as an example, the day after the election, our crisis hotline saw an almost 700% increase in contact volume.
Wow.
And so what that means is that not only is the rhetoric compounding the problem, our youth are scared and they're listening and they are worried about their futures and what political change means to their future and their access to a world where they can feel like they are safe and valued and seen.
Well, and fear can be a leading driver to needing those mental health services. We do want to mention, we want to mention the White House is proposing budget cuts to the Department of Health and Human Services. Explain the impact that would have on the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah. Let me first say that our mission is to end suicide among LGBTQ plus youth. And to end suicide in this country, we need more resources, not less. And so there is a proposal on the table. And this draft budget proposes eliminating crisis services for LGBTQ plus youth. And I want folks to know that this is a matter of life and death. And look, Jamie, I'm a former LGBTQ plus youth who lacked mental health support. I'm a parent who knows what it feels like to worry about your children's mental health and safety. And I am an American who believes that regardless of your personal politics, we should agree. Can we all agree that all young people in this country deserve to live healthy and long and full lives? And so when we think about the proposal in the draft and what's at stake, it's plain and simple that if this funding were to be removed, if this proposal were to come to fruition, we would be facing a significant and fatal decrease in young people's ability to access the life-saving care that they need. Now, what I'll say is that in fiscal year 2025, approximately 30 plus million in funding was allocated to 7 organizations to provide best practices to LGBTQ plus youth. But this proposal does not appear to be a cost-saving measure. I know there's been a lot of that discussion in the government around cost savings. This does not appear to be a cost-saving measure. This overall funding that's proposed is around removing funding for LGBTQ plus youth and reallocating that funding to other parts of 988.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. Jaymes Black, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.